Hello and welcome back to another one of my uncut Warframe build guides. Last time we looked at a true damage frost build. Today I want to look at another true damage build with Nuke Trinity. This build has been inspired by a energy vampire build because energy vampire does a flat amount of true damage in 4 bursts to your opponent as well as giving you energy. So today we're going to go make a build based entirely around this. It's a similar gimmick to the way that Frost's builds works, which is we apply viral stacks in order to increase the amount of true damage that they take, cast Energy Vampire, and then they will die instantly from the first burst of Energy Vampire, giving us a huge burst of energy, subsequently with shields using Vampire Leech. However, we need to be able to spread this damage around because killing one target with one cast of Energy Vampire is great, but it's too slow to keep up with survival missions. So for the spreading of the damage, to spread the damage around, we're using Marked for Death. And in order to improve the performance of Marked for Death, we're going to need to scale a lot of strength and a lot of range. Strength is also very important for Energy Vampire as it reduces the amount of viral stacks that we need in order to kill the initial target, and also reduces the amount of stacks that we need in order for Marked for Death to kill the surrounding targets. For the build itself, we're going with 235 range, overextended and stretch. No auger reach here because we shield gate just fine using Vampire Leech. Rolling guard, it's a steel path build. The rolling guard cleanse is the most important thing when it comes to arson eximus and random slash procs that you get. Rolling guard is a great saving grace there, as well as it helps you refresh your shield gate in the situations as it goes down and you're not getting your energy back with energy vampire. To keep our duration low, maximum transient fortitude, maximum fleeting expertise, and because we have that 60% efficiency, we can go blind rage here without batting an eyelash. Natural talent, speed up those cast times, and Prime Sure-Footed, I got this between now and my last video, and Prime Sure-Footed really activates this build. I wasn't going to post it if I didn't have Prime Sure-Footed because of the necessary use of the Epitaph. The Aura, I went with Growing Power just to increase our power strength a little bit. There are a couple of options, pretty much choose what you want. But if you don't have Vampire Leech, I recommend going Augur Stretch, Augur Secrets, and then going Brief Respite here in order to help with the shield gating. That build would perform significantly worse than this one, though, with a lot more difficulty. Arcanes, you don't really need any. So I'm actually going with the Czar for the primary. You don't really need a primary on this build. My Czar, this is kind of just a backup for me. There also happens to be a fairly good interaction between the Czar and Marked for Death. I'll just hover the build up real quick. But if you cast Mark for Death and then shoot them with the Czar, the Marked for Death will kill them before the Czar Blast does, making it so they drop ammo. That means that you can kind of use the Czar in substitute of using your Energy Vampire or Epitaph if you just want to be able to get through a mission quickly and it's not and you have a good Czar to go with it. So I know I have a Riven here. It's a pretty good Riven. I would recommend replacing this with something like Hammer Shot or Bladed Rounds. I have a lot of base damage because, like I said, this is kind of a backup tool for whenever I'm trying to do a quick mission like an Exterminate or a Capture or something like that. So I don't really care so much about scaling damage, but if you wanted to go for a Bane mod here, you could do that as well, along with Hunter Munitions. The Epitaph, this is the creme de la creme, the jewel of this crown. I was doing this with Kuvanukor before, and I was not getting very good performance, and then the moment that I swap over to the Epitaph, everything changes. Built for maximum attack speed to apply the viral stacks as fast as possible. Amalgam Barrel Diffusion or Barrel Diffusion works here. I just like the dodge speed. And going into the elements, I'm just going to scroll down to the Radio Quickshot. So the Radio Quickshot applies Blast innately. I have it built for radiation as another form of soft CC on top of the blast, viral because that's our priming mechanism, and it has a guaranteed cold proc on in addition to all of that. So we're applying blast, radiation, and cold. 3 forms of soft CC. That's what's keeping you alive. The arcane completely unnecessary, and as you can see, you don't need a Exilia slot in order to improve its performance at all. Now, for the melee, I know I said that you didn't really require a primary. You also don't really require a melee either, but I would recommend having your primary or your melee dedicated to killing acolytes. I'll just hover over the build quick. It is a pretty easy power attack Reaper build because sides have that guaranteed slash procs on heavy attacks, and so I decided to make a build to kill those acolytes with the true damage from that slash. Starting with, we have Reach to spread the damage around in case he's behind some units, Amalgam Organ Shatter for the wind-up speed, Corrupt Charge for the initial combo, Killing Blow, and Buzzkill because I want additional damage without adding another base damage multiplier, as well as not adding an element. Buzzkill was the go-to here. running double sacrificial mods, and due to them not being rank 10, I'm running Blood Rush in order to break over the guaranteed yellow and orange to the guaranteed orange and red crit zone. You can replace this with pretty much anything that you want if you get rid of, or if you have a R10 sacrificial pressure and sacrificial steel. For focus pools, we're going Vazarin for the protective sling. This build is not that reliable in terms of crowd controlling entire rooms, so the chances of you taking extraneous damage over the Frost build is much higher, meaning that you'll also need Vazarin for that protective dash. Frost needed it for his bad shield gating. She needs it for her bad room crowd control. Actually, I didn't show last time. I didn't show my Mr. Wiggletuff build, so I'll just hover over it quick. It's a pretty standard using synth mods to pick up pick up health orbs so more energy orbs can spawn. Martyr Symbiosis to keep you alive in the situation that you fail your shield gate. Panzer Devolution to keep the animal alive. Primed Animal Instinct, fetch. These are just very good to have on your companion at all times. And Viral Quills to spread viral procs more readily. Now we're going to go ahead and get into the field test, and I'm going to go over some strengths, some weaknesses, and some recommendations I have for playing this. To start off with strengths, this build is very good at single target damage, so you don't need an Eximus answer like you did with the Frost build. You need an Acolyte answer. So Frost dealt with Acolytes much better due to Spectral Siphon having that interaction with Acolytes. She's going to need some serious help doing soft CC and shield gating.
Set off the alarms to draw them out, then steal their Kuba catalysts. Predictable. As expected, Grineer have shut down the environmental.
Alright, right as we see the spawn, we want to give ourselves some iframes so that this way we can pop open the door, crowd control the whole room, cast, pop, and we clear the entire room. The kill rate between this build and the Frost build are roughly the same. There is a skill involved when it comes down to killing larger enemies before smaller enemies, because if there is a larger enemy like a gunner or a bombard and you hit a lesser enemy such as a lancer, then the issue that you're going to come with is that the bombard is still going to be alive and the lancers won't. I'm making bad decisions here, just... Alright, so now that we have that Eximus alone, we're going to prime him, cast our second ability until the Void Shield comes off, and then it will die. Get a better example of that when I'm not being bad and missing my Energy Vampire. So a huge issue that this build has is if you miss your Energy Vampire. It's not an issue because of the shield gaining aspect, it's an issue because of your KPS. The more that you miss, the less kills you're going to get. Prime, cast, pop. 1, 2, 3. And now we can just kill it with the rest. Guess not. I don't know why she's still alive. There we go.
I've delivered a life support capsule to the area.
As you can see, there was no stress at all killing that Eximus. No weapon swaps necessary. No fancy weapon choices. The build just works. Other advantages that this build has over the Frost build is that this build is a little bit more pub friendly. Meaning that since you don't need to group up the enemies and then cast, it means that you can kind of hop into a pub and this build will perform just as good here as it will, or just as good in solo play as it will in the group play. Room choice is remarkably critical when it comes to this build because of this build's lack of soft CC. It means that you want a lot of visual breakpoints. The more visual breakpoints, frankly, the better, because you can't crowd control people behind walls. You have to be looking at them, and for you to stay alive, you can't be having random targets shoot at you, or else you're refreshing your shield gate too often.
I've delivered another life support
As you can see, there was a Kuva Lester, which has more HP than a Lancer, and it only took half its life bar. Which means that you need to apply either additional stacks of Viral, or you need to target it instead of the Lancer. We're just waiting on that Acolyte to spawn. This build is also much more like visually appeasing because you can literally watch the enemies explode whenever you cast Energy Vampire, and I think that that's kind of a satisfying subset. There's that Acolyte. We're just gonna hope he's not violence. If it's violence, then you're gonna watch me struggle. Misery. Alright, not bad. Alright. So to deal with the Acolyte, you have to prime everything in his general vicinity, swap weapons, and then you have to kind of single him out. There he is. Everything's crowd controlled, power attack, roll. We got that 25% status chance, so we can probably just ignore him. Oh, never mind, he didn't die to that. It might have been because it was an enemy, so I lost damage due to the follow-through. As you can see, it due to the reliance on targeted soft CC, it means you take a lot of damage. I'm trying much harder on this build to shield gate than I was on the Frost build. Alright, and now that we're 5 minutes are up, let's go ahead and get out of here, and I'll give you some closing thoughts. Whatever. One last display, right?
Critical life support levels. Extraction is your best option.
Boom. Alright. So my closing thoughts are this. I think that this build is cheaper to set up than the Frost build. This build I only have 3 Forma on my Trinity, whereas I had 5 to 6 Forma on my Frost. So I think this is a better intro build to Steel Path. I actually used this build to clear a lot of the early days of Steel Path. I had put it together way back then, and I kind of just kept it around because it's fun every once in a while. The infinite scaling potential is quite nice. However, that lack of ability to deal with Acolytes means you have to have a very, very good way to deal with them in the form of Glaive Prime or Reaper Prime, or just a good Scythe, frankly, that has good slash damage. Do I recommend this build to new players? Yes. I think that this build is great because of its versatility in pubs and solos. It is difficult to play. It gets you used to shield gating. It lets you get to know your limits, though I do, just as fair warning, plan to die a lot. This build has a pretty high learning curve to it. I know I made it look easy, and once you have everything set up and everything in place, it's great. But once you're putting it together, if you have getting a Kuva Nuke core instead, you lose a lot of that ability to soft CC rooms with the Epitaph, and it makes the build a lot more difficult to play in general. And with that, that's the end of this build guide. I hope you enjoyed, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.